What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. Go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and some key levels that you really need to watch for going into the next couple trading days. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid did have a pretty kick-ass day, went up 3.26%, 214 the low, 224 the high, and you did see somewhat lower volume in comparison to the average. So 84 million shares being traded, 139 is the average. Majority of the volume actually did come from algorithmic trading, and you can tell that based on this right here. So these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. Mind you, of the transactions, you did see a lot of institutions buying, and I think that is because of, even though we haven't really seen a full-on de-escalation coming from the Middle East, you had the states pretty much committing that they weren't really going to enter it unless like worst case scenario. So market kind of took that as a positive. You also did have Powell kind of mentioned a lot of questionable things, but nonetheless higher for longer, and so most likely you will be seeing a rate cut in September. Again, that's what the market does believe. So it did jump to 61.7% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut for the September 17th meeting. So all in all, that is very good news for growth stocks. You also did have some good data this morning that again further justifies rate cuts. So overall, pretty good day. Specific to Lucid though, no official news, no SEC filings or anything like that. You did have Lucid Oasis post multiple kind of comments from 𝗖𝗧𝗪 on how the PIF is a key pillar for growth for Lucid, and I think generally a lot of us know that without the PIF, Lucid would have already done most likely 2 reverse stock splits, be down like probably 60% from even these levels. So I think generally that is a good understanding that investors know that the PIF is a huge catalyst for Lucid. But aside from that though, brought up a couple other points, nothing really crazy that us as investors don't really know. Were rather vague with this, but it does look like there's going to be some expansion occurring in the Middle East. So that's going to be a good thing. I think Lucid's being very strategic and timely with their expansion, both in the Middle East and in Europe. So I think big things will be coming in 2026, and most likely they're doing all this expansion in preparation for the midsize. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And actually, while I do have Twitter up, for those of you that do follow me and kind of see a lot of my short interest updates and my other random posts on there, I am in a timeout. I guess I said something that someone got irritated with, so I did get a 7-day ban. So anyone trying to DM me or anything else, unfortunately, I cannot respond. So it's kind of, I can look, but not do anything. So again, on a side note, that's why you're not seeing any short interest updates. If you do want to pop over to my Patreon, it is going to be completely free. I'm going to be posting all the details there, again, if that floats your boat. So again, just wanted to let you know about that. But aside from that, shorts did try to suppress Lucid because Lucid's kind of making some pretty good progress on a technical standpoint. So Lucid shorts did increase 1.57 million shares today. 30.87% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 380 million shares overall are being shorted. One thing to take note of though is cost to borrow average is starting to inch up higher. So it is getting up there, currently sitting at 13.13%. So all in all, shorts are trying to suppress, but if the market does continue its nice push higher and Lucid has some good momentum and continues this good momentum, you could see a little bit of a pinch with the shorts. So let me know your viewpoint on that. When it comes to the options, 1.35 million in calls, 696,000 in puts, 55% of all the options being done were neutral in nature. No different than yesterday as well. So there's a lot of big transactions being done, but again, as I explained yesterday, it's not oriented towards the bid or the ask, so we don't really know whether it's bullish or bearish. So again, that's why it is neutral. But it is good to see that you're seeing a nice bump up in the volume when it comes to the options. So 2 million in overall premiums for today, 1.6 yesterday, 2 million the day prior, and you did have some very low numbers here. That was on the 12th and the 13th. So again, very welcoming to see. Does go to show, especially from the net premium, that people are seeing more upside coming. From the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be above 250. Bears for it to be sub kind of 250 as well. So even the bears are anticipating for it to kind of go up this week. So good to see as far as that. Aside from all that fun stuff, with it closing at 222, it closed exactly on this R1. This pivot point of 216 we know is a very strong support. It's been tested probably a good 4 or 5 times over the last week and a half. So that is going to be a solid support level going into tomorrow. 222, you'll really want to watch for it to close above that tomorrow. So that's going to be a key pivot. And then 227 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So Lucid is starting to recover again alongside the broader market, and I think algorithmic trading really did push Lucid higher, not because of a new analyst rating, official analyst rating, but you did have Zacks kind of stating that Lucid is a buy. I personally am not really a fan of Zacks, because for those of you that actually take the time to read through this and not just their clickbait title, it honestly doesn't say anything whatsoever. It ultimately just kind of summarizes and says that it's optimistic for their upcoming earnings. So in reality, I don't like Zacks, like I said, but honestly, anything that can really push Lucid higher and help that through algorithmic trading is okay by my books. Aside from that, no real other kind of articles coming out. A couple articles, I guess, kind of talking about that new rating that did come out yesterday. Cantor Fitzgerald, $3 rating, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, and that is right here. So Andre Shepard has a 49% success rating. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, it is getting somewhat neutral in nature based on the stochastic RSI. Lucid has a pretty big gap right here that does need to be, again, if you believe in the gap needs to be filled type of mentality, it does need to be filled right there. So 242 is going to be that 50-day moving average. And if Lucid is able to continue this good momentum and get above that, then yeah, this is where things could get very real very fast, because historically that 50-day moving average does result in like a 30% swing. So there's that, and also the 100-day moving average at 248. So I think Lucid is long past due for a nice push higher. Maybe big entities were just selling out Lucid recently over the last little bit because of maybe Saudi Arabia. I did actually read that they committed to kind of help and not really defend, but they side more so with Iran, the States, clearly Israel. So there is somewhat that of a divide. So maybe that's why also Lucid did get hit a little bit more than other EVs recently. But hopefully with that all maybe de-escalating in the next little bit, then Lucid could really move higher. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What's your general thoughts on Lucid? And I know I've asked this in the past, but what do you feel the next big catalyst is for Lucid? And I see some people talking about this, and I know I've brought this up in the past on how I didn't like Peter as a CEO, but as a CTO, I think that would be a huge benefit to Lucid. If there's anyone interested out there for potentially to bring Peter back, let me know in the comments below. I don't know if that is even feasible or even if he wants to, because coming from like putting yourself in Peter's shoes, he got paid pretty handsomely, and he is getting pretty much paid to be a consultant, just stay quiet on the sidelines. So maybe he wants to stay kind of just off to the side and just keep his money and whatever else. But I think Lucid right now is truly lacking that passion. So I don't know if they bring someone back, because unfortunately there's been a lot of big names that had a lot of big passion. That Michael Bell, one of them, I know I kind of spoke to him in 2022. And he was very passionate about autonomous driving. And that seems to be a very hot topic. So I feel like Lucid does need to gain some of that hype and start talking about autonomous driving. Because if you think about it, I know a lot of people aren't really talking about it, but Lucid did mention hands-free is going to be coming by the end of this year. So it is going to be coming soon. So I feel like Lucid should start talking about it, doing some fireside chats, and just say, hey, you know what, we got this big thing coming, and we're going to be like, we have the technology already as a solid base. Now we're going to kind of step up and really give Tesla or whoever else a run for their money. So that's just my 2 cents. Of course, I could be wrong, but let me know your general thoughts. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I do give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, and as well, you can go there for that short interest information if, again, that floats your boat. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.